Good morning. It's 10:18, and I'd like to call this special council meeting to order. And stand up and join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, good morning. So let's go to item 2, an action item pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 20166. We consider rejecting all bids received for the Almond Street.
Skip the roll call.
I'm sorry. Roll call vote? The roll call?
Here.
Here.
Here. Okay, well, let's try this again.
Pull it closer. Pull it closer to you. There you go. Eat it.
Okay. Better? Okay. Item 2, pursuant to Public Contract Code Section 20166, consider rejecting all bids received for the Almond Street multimodal improvements in Paradise Gap Closure Complex, and consider adopting resolution number 20-47. A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Paradise approving the updated plans and specifications for the Almond Street multimodal improvements in the Paradise Gap Closure Complex. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mark Maddox.
Good morning, Mayor Crowder. Good morning, Council. Thank you for considering this item again during a special meeting. And I will take a moment to step back for the sake of our new council members to give a little bit of project history. Back in 2016, the Town of Paradise received between 2 separate grant allocations through the Active Transportation Program, which is administered by Caltrans and the California Transportation Commission. We were awarded almost $9 million in funds to completely rehab and revitalize the downtown through the construction of sidewalks, drainage infrastructure, landscaping, lighting, bike lanes, bike paths, and some minor widening that's associated with that. Along Almond Street, Birch, Fir, Foster, a portion of Elliott, and Black Olive in the downtown, kind of encompassed by the Pearson Skyway, Elliott, Black Olive Drive vicinity of our downtown. So with this project, we moved forward in the design, and then was put on hold following the Camp Fire. And the good part was in the preparation of the long-term recovery plan, this project is entirely consistent with the aim of that recovery plan and providing a more walkable downtown and really improving the downtown area as well. So we had the benefit of a head start on funding and the design work and the time that it takes to do that to get to today. With that, earlier this year, Council authorized on September 8th, 2020, for staff to issue bids or notice to bidders for this project combined into one bid set. And we did that and had a longer bid period. And then we had an issue with our last bid cycle and bid protest. And on November 17th, Town Council rejected all the bids and directed staff to re-advertise. And we, again, updated the bid package as well, according with some of the lessons learned. We learned through the bid process and having to issue addendums and having contractors look at the bid set and little tweaks to the project. So with that, we reissued the project accordingly, and on December 14th, we received 6 total bids, and they were all under the engineer's estimate, which is good news about the economy and the climate for currently bidding the project. With that said, staff is still recommending that we reject all bids and re-advertise. This is a unique opportunity and a window that we have afforded by planning these projects out in advance and not going to bid, say, April, May, June, and trying to get something constructed while before the next rainy season. So with that, we're looking at the project timeline, and the numbers coming in under budget affords us an opportunity to decrease the project period, which has been advertised as a 2-season construction job. And we really do want to have the least amount of impact on our community during the construction period. And so we're looking to reject the bids, revise the bid set, and reduce the working day calendar to 6 months instead of the 2 years, so that we can ensure the job would be done by whichever contractor had the low bid before the end of 2021, which will put us in a good position moving forward towards recovery. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. I do have information in the staff report about the financial impact. Again, the grant is going to fund the grant portion. There is a non-participating portion of the grant, which is the road. So as I mentioned, the Active Transportation Program is our primary grant funding source for this project, and so that only covers those associated facilities. But we are planning to rehabilitate the road at the same time, and we're looking to do that. Pre-fire was going to be Measure C, but with the numbers we're seeing that we could really reduce or maybe eliminate the Measure C requirement, they were put on hold anyways. And with working with FEMA and insurance, we're thinking that we're going to be able to document a memo stating that insurance funds that would normally go towards our infrastructure claim or provision on our policy, there's a $750,000 insurance infrastructure provision, and we know that our roads were damaged by the fire through our FEMA claim and that have been approved. And so we're looking to back out these roads from the FEMA claim on our off-system road rehab and put them in and leverage with this project and to deliver them in conjunction with our active transportation improvement. So it sounds like a lot, and it's a lot of different puzzle pieces coming together, but I can assure you that the project we're presenting and going out to another bid cycle for the third time will yield the best project, and that's our goal to do that for our community as best as we can. So I know that's a lot, so I'd be glad to answer any questions.
So the road work that you talked about, is that in here
Yes,
already?
it is, and
Okay.
it will continue to be in here. It's just in the staff report, we identified we had a non-participating portion and a match, and so we're thinking we can leverage that through our insurance provision on the road damages experienced by the fire.
So my concern is the companies that have in good faith bid this twice already. Not really a good thing to make them bid it 3 times.
Right.
We start losing our credibility.
Well, I can understand that sentiment. I think it is more normal for projects of this size to go through multiple bid cycles, and that we can expect it moving forward. The town of Paradise has a lot of work to do, and so when I did speak with other contractors, there wasn't concern about a third bid cycle. They're eager for the work and they want to help in the recovery. It is frustrating, I will admit that, for sure.
So was the reason you didn't go to a 6-month window the last time we rebid because you didn't think there was enough money to do that?
Well, that was certainly one of the concerns.
Because of overtime and
Yeah, definitely.
to make this
I think
6
it
months.
comes down to contractor capabilities and approach to the project. I think there's a majority of the bidders on this bid list that are looking to approach the project very aggressively with a high mobilization, even with these bid numbers, and to try and get the job done as soon as possible. What we don't want to see is just a 2-year prolonged construction period unnecessarily.
So could you explain, and I agree with you, I mean,
Yeah.
we got enough construction and stuff going on around us. Trying to
Yeah.
get around here is tough. So explain the road thing to me. Now, we're gonna be putting sewer on these roads too.
Yes.
So we're not gonna fix them right now before we get sewer in, is that correct?
Well, the approach is that by the time the sewer pipe goes to get installed, that the road will be able to be rehabilitated anyways or needed some sort of maintenance, so we can install the sewer, do a slurry seal, or do a mill and fill and a minor overlay on top of this. It is very challenging to know when to push all of these
Right.
different pieces at the right moment. Considering this grant and the requirement to deliver it, we've had great partners at the CTC and their patience to deliver and help us in our recovery picture. But what we're seeing for the downtown, waiting an indeterminate number of years for the sewer would not be in the best interest of this project and our community in the downtown recovery.
Okay.
So shortening the time frame from 2 years to 6 months, do you feel these numbers will still come in under what we had budgeted?
Yes, I do. I feel strongly about that. That is a bit of a risk here, but I feel confident based on the bid numbers I've reviewed, the discussions I've had with contractors, that most of the bidders were looking at this in a one-season job anyway. And so we want to make sure we have the ability to enforce that for the sake of our community, rather than just having a job that fills in time when they're doing other work in other communities. We want to be, this job needs to be this contractor's priority for as long as they're here.
So if you shorten the contract, it's probably going to add costs.
Yeah.
Because they are going to have overtime and more logistics and getting things there in a timely manner, whereas you're not working things in, or you don't have your suppliers. I mean, they have to be there. So there's a good chance that this may increase. So I think my other question would be, and I agree with Councilman Jones, that this doesn't bode well for the city's reputation to have it rebid. And I understand you're doing what's good for the city, and I absolutely agree, having that shorter time, getting it done, will not only help the city, but when people come up and look and go, oh, wow, look at what they've done. Yes, I do want to invest money here, or they've already got this much done. So I think there's I support having it done in a shorter period of time. My concern is in the town's reputation with having this go out for 3 different bids, because I've heard the frustration with the people who had to bid our tree jobs, and they are like really frustrated. So my question would be, have you talked to any of them? And I don't know how this works legally. Is if we do award the bid to somebody, can we make it a contingency that it's done in that period of time? Or legally, do we have to go out for a rebid?
So after the bid, if I understand your question, could we look to change the bid documents and require a shorter construction period with this existing bid?
So I guess maybe I'm approaching it a little bit differently in the sense of, if we go back and we look at awarding the bid to some of these people who've already bid and say, okay, are you willing to go forward with your bid given a new time frame of this?
So I don't think we could do that with the bid results we have today, but the
Okay.
way we do that moving forward is we establish the working day calendar, and then what comes on top of that is liquidated damages. And what that means is for every day and every calendar day's delay of not completing the work, we charge them. For this job, I believe it's $6,800 per calendar day that they would be delayed.
So in that new contract, you would have that in there?
Yes, so
Got it,
those are
which is
ready.
not in this
It's all
one.
ready to go. That is there now, but the period is for 2 years
2
rather than
years.
6 months.
Yeah, that's kind of I do agree that is a pretty long time to have this project open and the town ripped up,
Yep.
so.
I agree with that.
So, Mark, let me ask you, this is the only reason for rebidding, is to shorten the time?
Well, this is the primary reason for sure. We did also receive a bid protest as well on the same low bidder that we have here. But the primary reason is the schedule.
Okay, so this matching funds, first of all, what is the gap closure complex?
So that
Nobody
was.
knows what it is.
Yeah, so that is just the name of the project. So we have 2 projects, as I stated, the Almond Street Multimodal, Almond Street
right.
from Pearson to Elliott. The Gap Closure Complex was a project title that we gave it to have it, every project needs a title when they're considered for grant funding. And so the gap closure projects, the gap closure, we are closing the gaps between where sidewalks end, just out of nowhere. So those are being closed by putting in appropriate infrastructure for people to walk and bike.
Yeah, because I had to look up multimodal. I had to look
Multimodal,
to
so
know what
access
it
to
was.
transit, biking, walking, rolling. We need to have infrastructure to
So
support
the
those.
local funding match, or whatever it is we got to do on these grants, is like over $1 million?
So with the, so preliminary engineering right away are both already done for these projects. So the primary construction, local match for the Almond Street, the minimum match requirement is 2.5%, which is really small. And the gap closure complex is entirely funded through the grant. So what you're seeing for the local funding is the
Yeah.
commitment for the road and the non-participating
Right.
cost to the grant.
But it's $1 million?
It was budgeted for $1 million. The numbers we're seeing are much lower.
Okay.
Which is what I'm saying is when we combine the insurance provisions and with these low numbers that we're thinking I'm hopeful that we won't need any Measure C. Right now,
Okay,
there's
so that was the crux of my question was.
Correct.
You mentioned that the insurance money is maybe we're gonna be able to cover that cost, because
That's the plan.
cool, okay.
Yep, and I will be able to, once we have the bid that we're comfortable and, be able to stand before you and say, we are confident that this contractor is gonna do the best job in the right amount of time for you, we will have a full accounting exactly to know what those liabilities are gonna be for road costs and the grants.
So my last question would be this. You say you've already got a challenge from the low bidder or somebody on this existing bid?
Correct.
What happens, okay, and I don't have the same, I understand
Yep.
the concerns about going out a third time, but I don't have that. Our reputation's fine,
Yeah.
I think. But, so if we do this, what happens when that happens? What happens if the low bidder doesn't get the job and he
Yeah.
wants to file a complaint?
So-
We know what happened on the trees.
I know Dwight's on the line, but I think the short version is this. When the schedule impacts, when we're here in December, and we're not looking to start construction next week in the rain, we have the schedule, it's pretty flexible. We're not looking to start work until the end of this winter season, late March, early April. So with that, we look at risk, reward, cost benefit, just like any other problem. With this, in awarding to the low bidder, there's risk that we could get sued from the second low bidder. Rejecting the low bid due to findings that we were to make has risk in awarding to the second low bidder because they could be upset about that fallout. So with that, knowing that we can re-advertise for 3 weeks and have a contract ready for you at February 8th, or 9th, I'm sorry, there really is no cost to waiting. We've seen the numbers come down. I'm confident that when we go to rebid, we could see the numbers come up a little bit for the construction schedule being expedited, but still within our budget and within the grant funding. So with that, there's really no major cost to the town by rejecting these bids and going back out. Now, at some point, if this were to happen again, certainly I think my recommendation would be different standing in February if we're looking to so I'm just hopeful that again, a higher dollar there's a deal. There does happen. Right.
Right.
Are we required to go to the government bid program, or can we use an RFP for this kind of work?
So we are required to report.
I understand when you put something out to bid, but what happens, are we able to take a project like this and instead of issuing a bid package, do a request for proposals that gives us the freedom to pick whichever one we want? Okay, okay. Yeah, I thought that was.
This is
So
for day work.
if,
This is for day work, right? Not for
They were-
night.
Oh, yeah, no, they were, one thing we're also adjusting, all this is traffic control requirements. Talking for, with the way we had it right now, they have laggard, that's a lot. Yeah, this is, these, one, we can have it. They can be. But
so if you go out to bid for the third time and we get bids and the same company is the low bidder, and someone else files a bid protest, are we going to want to go out again? I mean, we don't have to reject bids just because we have a bid protest.
No, absolutely not.
Right, okay. Okay,
It almost seems like bid protests are standard practice anymore.
almost,
Yeah, which is unfortunate, but.
So,
Well, once they all have all the work they can handle, then you don't see it as much either.
yes, very, very good.
Any more questions? Tina, any cards?
I have no cards on this item, and I received no emails or phone calls.
I move acceptance.
Second?
Who gets the second?
Woody?
Okay.
At council.
Motion by Bolin, seconded by Culleton, to adopt resolution number 20-47. Roll call vote, Councilmember Bolin,
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton,
Aye.
Councilmember Jones,
Aye.
Councilmember Tryon,
Aye.
and Mayor Crowder.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that brings us to number 3. Motion to adjourn? Well, let's adjourn. Everybody have a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job, Mark.